The music in Club Royale was so loud that it shook the glasses on the tables. Bright lights flashed across the dance floor, and people shouted and laughed as champagne bottles popped in the air. In the middle of it all stood Mike, tall, dark, handsome, and rich. Everyone called him Money Mike. He was the kind of man who walked into a room and made everyone stare. His gold chain glittered under the lights, his shoes sparkled, and his smile could light up the whole club. That night, like every other night, Mike threw bundles of cash into the air while shouting, "Let the money rain!" People screamed and ran to pick up the notes that fell like confetti. The DJ shouted into the mic, "Make some noise for the king of money!" Mike laughed so hard that tears rolled down his face. He ordered more drinks, more bottles, more music. He was surrounded by girls wearing bright dresses and fake smiles, girls who laughed at all his jokes and called him boss. At just 28, Mike believed he had conquered life. Mike's story started years before that, in a small neighborhood in the city of Enugu. He grew up in a one-room apartment with his widowed mother, Mama Rose, who sold fruits by the roadside. Life was hard, but she taught him to be humble, kind, and patient. "Mike," she would always say, "money is good, but pride will destroy any man."
But Mike didn't listen. He hated poverty with all his heart. He used to stare at rich men driving past in big cars and whispering to himself, "One day, I will be like them, even bigger." When he finished secondary school, he left home for Lagos, promising his mother he would make her proud. She hugged him and gave him her last savings in a small envelope of cash. "Don't forget where you come from," she said softly. Mike smiled and replied, "Mama, the next time you see me, I'll be a rich man." Lagos was not easy, but Mike was determined. He did all kinds of jobs, washing cars, carrying loads, even sleeping on the streets sometimes. But one lucky day, he met a man named Mr. Johnson, a businessman who saw Mike's smartness and took him under his wing. Johnson ran an import and export business, and Mike quickly learnt the ropes. Within 2 years, Mike had earned his trust and started managing deals himself. Soon, he began running side businesses, selling electronics, helping friends make connections, investing here and there. Before anyone knew it, Mike became rich. Very rich. He bought cars, moved into a big house, and started living the life he had always dreamed of. But the moment money came, something changed in him. The humble boy Mama Rose raised began to fade away. He stopped calling his mother. When she tried to reach him, his assistant would say, "Madam, the boss is busy." He stopped going to church, saying, "I don't need prayers, I make my own luck." He changed his circle of friends, surrounding himself with people who only praised him. They followed him everywhere, calling him chairman, bossman, odogu. He liked their attention. He liked being the center of everything. Every Friday night, he went to the club and spent millions just to show off. He would buy bottles of the most expensive champagne and pour them on the floor, laughing as the liquid splashed. "Money no be problem," he would shout. He even began to mock people who had less. One night, a waiter accidentally spilled a drink on his shirt. Meg slapped him across the face. "Do you know who I am?" he shouted. "You're a nobody. My shoe costs more than your life." Everyone in the club laughed, and Meg felt powerful. But what he didn't know was that his days of glory were numbered. 1 year later, his business partner Mr. Johnson died suddenly. That was the beginning of Mike's downfall. Without Johnson's guidance, Mike made bad business decisions. He trusted the wrong people. He invested in fake deals. He borrowed money to maintain his flashy lifestyle. Slowly, the money started to dry up. But Mike refused to change. He still went to the club, still bought expensive clothes, still threw money in the air. People must not think I'm broke, he told himself. He started selling his cars one by one, then his house, then his jewelry. Each time, he told people he was just upgrading, but deep down, fear began to grow.
His friends started avoiding him when he could no longer buy drinks or give them cash. The same girls who used to call him boss stopped answering his calls. Within 6 months, the once mighty Money Mike was broke. Completely broke. One evening, Mike went to the same club where he used to be king. He wore an old shirt and slippers. The bouncer at the door stopped him. "Hey, you can't come in," the man said. Mike smiled witty. "It's me, Mike." The bouncer laughed. "Mike who? We don't let beggars inside." Before he could explain, 2 men pushed him away. He felt the ground as people watched. Some laughed. That night, he walked aimlessly on the street, his mind filled with regret. He thought of his mother, the woman he had ignored for years. He thought of the waiter he slapped. He thought of all the people he disrespected. For the first time, he felt truly empty. Days turned into weeks. Mike struggled to find food. He tried calling some of his old friends, but none picked up. One even blocked his number. One hot afternoon, while walking to a nearby market hoping to beg for food, he felt dizzy and collapsed. When he opened his eyes, he was lying on a wooden bench at a roadside clinic. A nurse looked down at him and said, "You're a very weak young man. You're lucky someone brought you here." Mike tried to sit up but couldn't. "Please, water," he whispered. The nurse gave him a small cup. "You need rest. You've been sick for days." She looked at him closely and said, "You look familiar. Weren't you the man who used to drive a red Range Rover?" Mike smiled bitterly. That was a long time ago. As the days passed, his health got worse. He was diagnosed with a serious infection that required treatment he couldn't afford. The hospital refused to continue without payment. The nurse, out of pity, gave him food sometimes, but she couldn't do much. Mike's condition worsened. His once strong body grew thin. His once smooth face became pale. He lay on the bench at night, staring at the ceiling, whispering to himself, "Where are they now? The friends, the girls, the party people." No one came, not a single person. One night, as he coughed weakly, he heard a familiar voice outside the clinic. It was Mama Rose. She had traveled all the way from their village after hearing rumors that her son was dying in Lagos. She entered the small room and froze. "Mike," she whispered, her voice shaking. When Mike saw her, tears filled his eyes. "Mama, you came?" She dropped her bag and ran to him, holding his frail body. "Oh, my son, what have you done to yourself?" Mike began to cry like a child. "Mama, I'm sorry. I was foolish. I had everything, but I lost it all because I thought I was greater than everyone. Please forgive me." Mama Rose wept silently, stroking his hair. "My son, I forgave you long ago. What matters is that you are alive." She stayed by his side, using her small savings to buy medicine and food. She prayed for him every night, whispering, "God, give my son another chance." Slowly, Mike began to recover. It took months, but he got better. When he could finally walk again, he promised his mother he would start afresh. He moved back to the village, where he helped her with her fruit stall. At first, people mocked him. "Is this not the same Mike that used to spray money in clubs?" They laughed. Mike didn't reply. He simply smiled. He began sharing his story with young men in the community, warning them about the dangers of pride and waste.
Money is a servant, not a master, he would say. Use it well, or it will destroy you. One day, a journalist passing through the village recognized him. Aren't you the famous Money Mike? Mike chuckled. I used to be. Now I'm just Mike. The journalist was shocked to see how humble and peaceful he had become. He wrote an article about him titled The Rise and Fall of Money Mike.
The story spread across social media, and many people who had once envied him were humbled by his lesson. Years later, Mike started a small business in his village with the help of a charity organization. It grew slowly, but this time he handled his money wisely. He gave to the poor, respected everyone, and took care of his mother. He no longer chased luxury or fame. One evening, as he sat outside watching the sunset, Mama Rose said softly, "My son, you've changed." Mike smiled. "Yes, Mama. I've learned that true wealth is not in money, but in peace, love, and humility." She nodded proudly. "Now you are truly rich." And for the first time in many years, Mike felt rich indeed, not because of what he had, but because of what he had learnt. Money can give comfort, but without wisdom and humility, it becomes a curse. Respect people, value relationships, and remember, pride goes before a fall. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.